What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here. And of course, an advisor with the Trump administration can be relied on to give the most boneheaded, asinine advice ears have ever heard. And likewise, it's fitting that advice is pro-Russia, anti-democracy, pro-authoritarian, anti-freedom, and suggests bowing, kneeling, and submitting to Putin. Yes, very fitting indeed, since that's about as good of a summary as Trump's presidency can be.
Do you think Putin will pull what I would call a Grozny? Grozny was the capital of this breakaway republic. He flattened it when the civilians resisted.
Yes.
You're going to see this. I mean, is he going to flatten Ukraine?
No, absolutely not. In fact, he's worked hard to capture most of it intact. Surprisingly little damage. No, I think they're just surrounding the Ukrainian forces, and they are annihilating them. And this is inevitable. And Mr. Zelensky, I think, is postponing the inevitable in the hopes that we are going to rescue him, and we are not coming.
Douglas Macgregor appeared on the business side of the right-wing propaganda network of choice, Fox, and laid out a scathing attack on Ukraine and Zelensky with plenty of warm overtones directed toward Russia and Putin.
You think the end is in sight?
Well, the end the end of this phase is still a few days away. But the first 5 days, Russian forces, I think, frankly, were too gentle. They've now corrected that. So I would say another 10 days, this should be completely over. But the question is, what is it that Zelensky is going to do? The Russians have made it very clear what they want is a neutral Ukraine. This could have ended days ago if he accepted that. And then they can adjust the borders. But the eastern part of Ukraine is firmly in Russian hands. But again, the Russians are not seizing territory. They're destroying Ukrainian forces. That's their focus.
Macgregor thinks that Ukraine should have remained neutral, whatever that's supposed to mean. It's a little hard to be neutral when you're being invaded. Either you're going to defend or surrender, and apparently Macgregor is in favor of the latter. He thinks Zelensky's resistance is foolish and that he's not a hero. That is his delay of the inevitable. That things could have ended days ago if Ukraine would have agreed to adjust their borders, which makes no sense at all, since if they adjusted their borders to Putin's demand, there would be no borders to adjust. There would be no Ukraine. But you know, when these Trump and Putin worshipping knobs blurt out their talking points, they're not looking to win over an intellectual audience. They're just trying to shift the boneheaded narrative of their party further to the right. A phrase like adjusting their borders, which has no context in this argument, is just a method to ease their audience into question, into sympathy for their authoritarian ideals.
Colonel, it sounds like you don't approve of Zelensky's stand.
Oh, I think Zelensky is a puppet. And he is putting huge numbers of his own population at unnecessary risk. And quite frankly, most of what comes out of Ukraine is debunked as lies within 24 to 48 hours. The notions of taking and retaking airfields, all of this is nonsense. It hasn't happened.
He's not a hero? When he's standing up for himself and his own people? You don't think he's a hero?
No, I do not. I don't see anything heroic about the man. And I think the most heroic thing that he can do right now is to come to terms with reality. Neutralize Ukraine. This is not a bad thing. A neutral Ukraine would be good for us as well as for Russia. It would create the buffer that, frankly, both sides want. But he's, I think, being told to hang on and try to drag this out, which is tragic for the people that have to live through this.
Macgregor goes on to call Zelensky a puppet, and that he's looking for Russia to ramp up attacks and take care of business within 10 days. A nice, well-rounded cheerleading session for Putin. All that was missing was a skirt and pom-poms in Russian colors. The right's love affair with Putin's Russia has been blossoming since Agent Orange poisoned the Republican Party. And when this evil dictator took a page out of Napoleon's playbook and started playing conqueror in the 21st century by invading Ukraine, the pro-Russia sentiments from the right have not slowed down a bit. In fact, it could be getting worse. These snakes see a commonality with Putin that makes them take his side over Ukraine and his side over their own country, and that's authoritarianism. They read from the same playbook, from propaganda to their manipulation to office of their political endeavors. They all carry the same undercurrent of extinguishing democracy because it's seen as a roadblock to the personal power, their petty goals, their greed, and their narcissism. Most of us never thought we'd see a time when we'd have people on national television siding with Putin's Russia during an unprovoked invasion and assault of another country. The right wing has gotten progressively more corrupt, blatantly evil, and anti-American American with every moment. It's reached beyond the point of scary a long time ago, and we even passed utter insanity some miles back as well. We're in legitimate uncharted territory, off the map, and well into vulgar lunacy. At some point, anybody left voting for these scum that has a core decency within them needs to reach deep and find that and delete this movement from our politics forever. I don't want to wake up someday and find our borders are dissolved and we are Russia. January 6th was way, way too close to that day. It needs to be a wake-up call, not a training ground. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.